The force flows through all living things, binding the galaxy together in an endless web of energy and life. But sometimes, the force encounters something it has never touched before. Something from beyond the stars, beyond reality itself. And when that happens, even the most ancient of mysteries must make room for the new. Logan's last memory of his own universe was fire and pain. The Weapon X facility had been experimenting with dimensional technology, trying to create portals for instantaneous troop deployment. He'd gone in to shut it down, claws out, ready to end another chapter of humanity's worst instincts. Then the explosion, not outward, but inward. A collapsing star of energy that didn't kill him, but tore him apart at a level beyond flesh and bone. His healing factor had screamed in protest as reality itself rejected his existence. And then, nothing. Now, consciousness returned like a punch to the gut. Logan's eyes snapped open to twin suns blazing overhead. Their light, different from any sun he'd known. The air tasted wrong, cleaner somehow, but with an electric charge that made his enhanced senses tingle. He pushed himself up from scorched earth, his adamantium skeleton intact, his healing factor already working overtime to repair whatever dimensional transit had done to his cells. The crater around him was still smoking, the ground fused into glass at the impact point. "Not dead," he muttered, his voice rough. "Figures." He extended his claws with the familiar snick sound, checking that everything still worked. 6 blades of indestructible metal gleamed in the alien sunlight. Good. Whatever had happened, whatever this place was, he was still Logan, still Wolverine, still. His senses exploded with warning. Logan spun, claws ready, as multiple presences approached from the ridge above. His nose caught their scent: sweat, metal, weapons oil, and something else he couldn't identify. His ears picked up the mechanical whir of armor servos and the distinctive click of weapons being primed. 6 figures crested the ridge, and Logan's combat instincts cataloged everything in a heartbeat. Armor, full body, looked like advanced composite metal, painted in burnt orange and silver. Helmets with T-shaped visors that gave nothing away. Each one carried weapons he didn't recognize, but guns were guns in any reality. The way they moved spoke of military discipline and combat experience. The lead figure, armor decorated with more ornate patterns, raised one hand. The others held position, but didn't lower their weapons. "Unknown contact," the leader said, voice filtered through the helmet's modulator. "You've crashed on Mandalore, outsider. State your clan affiliation, or prepare to be detained." Mandalore. The word meant nothing to Logan, but the tone meant everything. These weren't cops or military grunts. These were warriors, and they were giving him a chance to explain before things got violent. He could respect that. Logan retracted, his claws slowly, hands raised, but not in surrender, just showing he wasn't immediately hostile. "Don't have a clan. Don't even know where the hell I am. Last thing I remember, I was somewhere else entirely." The leader's helmet tilted, studying him. Logan's enhanced hearing caught the subvocal conversation happening over their comm system. Words he couldn't quite make out, but the tone suggested debate. "Your armor," one of the others said, a woman by the voice. "That's not Beskar. What metal is that?" Logan glanced down at himself. His standard tactical gear was shredded from the dimensional transit, leaving his adamantium-laced forearms partially exposed, where the healing factor hadn't yet regenerated the skin completely. Even as they watched, muscle and flesh were knitting back together over the metal. "You're seeing bone," Logan said bluntly. "Metal-bonded skeleton. Long story." The silence that followed was loaded. Then the leader lowered his weapon slightly. You regenerate. We saw you emerge from a crater that should have killed anything organic. And those blades you extended from your hands, built-in weapons. Part of the package. Interesting. The leader's tone shifted from threatening to considering. I am Garrett Kell of Clan Kell. We came to investigate what our sensors registered as a meteorite impact. Instead, we find you. A warrior with metal bones and impossible healing. He paused. There's a gathering at our clan hold, 3 kilometers north. Champions from several clans, testing themselves in the old ways. You've caught us at an auspicious time, stranger. Logan's instincts prickled. This was leading somewhere. And warriors like you are rare. Mandalore respects strength, resilience, and combat prowess, above all else. If you can prove yourself worthy, you might find a place here. If not, Garrick's hand moved back to his weapon. Well, we can't have unknown elements wandering our world during a gathering of clans. It wasn't quite a threat, but it was close. Logan had been in enough tight spots to know when he was being recruited and tested simultaneously. He could fight. He'd probably take down 2 or 3 before they put him down, with whatever advanced weaponry they were packing. But his healing factor would bring him back, and then he'd be dealing with an entire planet of warriors with a grudge. Or he could play along, figure out where the hell he was, and find a way back home. All right, Logan said. I'll see your gathering. But I don't do pledges, oaths, or signing my life away. We clear? Garrick actually laughed, the sound metallic through his helmet. Clear. A warrior who speaks plainly. You'll fit in better than you think. The journey to Clan Kell's hold revealed more about this strange new reality than Logan would have preferred. The landscape of Mandalore was harsh. Rocky terrain, broken by stretches of crystalline formations that caught the twin sun's light and threw it in prismatic cascades. In the distance, domed cities rose like blisters on the horizon, their architecture a blend of ancient fortress and advanced technology. But it was the conversation during the walk that truly unsettled him. You said you don't know where you are, Garrick said, walking alongside Logan while his warriors maintained a perimeter. Have you never heard of the Galactic Republic, the Jedi Order, the hyperspace lanes? Each term was meaningless to Logan. He said as much. Garrick stopped walking, his helmet turning to fully face Logan. You're not from the Outer Rim. You're not from the unknown regions. You speak basic, but you don't know the most fundamental facts of galactic civilization. A pause. Where are you from? Earth, Logan said. Sol system, Milky Way galaxy, if you want to get technical. The silence was profound. Then Garrick's hand moved to a device on his belt, something that projected a holographic star map into the air between them. Thousands of stars, connected by glowing lines spread out in 3 dimensions. Logan had seen star maps before, but nothing like this. The scale was staggering. This is the known galaxy, Garrick said quietly. Over 1 million inhabited systems, connected by hyperspace routes that have existed for thousands of years. I can access the Republic's navigational database right now, and I'm telling you, there is no Sol system, no Milky Way, no Earth. Logan stared at the map, his enhanced senses cataloging every detail, and felt something cold settle in his gut. Not fear. He'd burned through most of his fear capacity decades ago, but recognition. He'd been through dimensional rifts before, dealt with reality-warping mutants and cosmic entities. This wasn't teleportation. This was something bigger. He was in another universe entirely. Understood, Logan said, his voice flat. He didn't need to show weakness to these warriors. Then I'm a long way from home. Indeed. Garrick deactivated the map. But you're here, now, and on Mandalore. That's what matters. Your past is your business. Your actions in the present are what define you. Logan could work with that philosophy. The clan hold came into view as they crested another ridge, a fortress built into the mountainside, all sharp angles and defensive positions. But what caught Logan's attention was the gathering in the valley before it. Hundreds of warriors in armor of every color imaginable, organized by clan symbols he didn't recognize. Training rings had been established, and even from this distance, Logan could hear the clash of combat and the roar of crowds. The Mandalorian people are many clans, united by the creed, Garrick explained as they descended. We are warriors first, regardless of what the pacifists in Sundari claim. This gathering is to honor the old ways, trial by combat, tests of strength, proving oneself worthy of the armor we wear. And you want me to fight? I want you to prove you're not a threat. If you can hold your own against a Mandalorian champion, you'll earn respect, possibly more. Garrick's helmet turned toward him. We've had outsiders join our ranks before, but they had to prove themselves first. Logan rolled his shoulders, feeling his healing factor finish repairing the last of the dimensional damage. His adamantium skeleton was a comfortable weight, his claws ready to deploy at a thought. He'd fought in cage matches, underground tournaments, and wars that spanned continents. One more fight wasn't going to break him. Who do I fight? That, Garrick said with what sounded like a smile, will be determined by challenge. Come. They entered the gathering, and Logan immediately felt hundreds of eyes turn toward him. Warriors in full armor, their helmets reflecting the twin suns, appraising this stranger who walked with Clan Kell. Conversations died down. Weapons shifted. Logan's senses were on full alert, tracking every potential threat, every warrior who moved their hand toward a weapon. Garrick led him to a central ring where a massive warrior stood, easily 7 feet tall in armor, decorated with kill marks and clan honors. The warrior's helmet was skull-shaped, painted in bone white and blood red. Kell Vau, Garrick called out. I bring you a challenge. This outsider claims warrior status. Will you test him in the old way? Kell Vau's helmet turned toward Logan, and even through the visor, Logan felt the weight of that stare. He has no armor, no weapons beyond those claws I see at his knuckles. This would be slaughter, not honor. The claws are weapon enough, Logan said, stepping into the ring. And I don't need armor. Let's get this over with. The crowd's murmur intensified. Logan caught words, arrogant, fool, brave, in a dozen different tones. Kell Vau stepped closer, and Logan revised his threat assessment upward. The warrior moved with the confidence of someone who'd killed many times, and expected to kill many more. Good. Logan preferred honest violence to political games. Rules, Garrick announced, his voice carrying across the gathering. Single combat, first blood, submission, or incapacitation. No lethal strikes. If the outsider survives 3 minutes against Kell Vau, he has proven himself worthy of our respect. 3 minutes. Logan almost smiled. He'd survived a lot longer against worse odds. Kell Vau drew a vibro blade from his belt, a weapon that hummed with energy, its edge flickering with contained power. Ready yourself, outsider. Logan extended his claws with that distinctive snikt, 6 blades of adamantium catching the light. Around the ring, warriors leaned forward. Some had recording devices active. This would be remembered, one way or another. Ready, Logan growled. Kelvau moved first, fast for his size, the vibroblade coming in a diagonal slash aimed at Logan's shoulder. Logan sidestepped, his enhanced reflexes making the attack seem slow, and countered with a claw strike aimed at the warrior's armored side. Metal shrieked against metal, his adamantium claws scoring deep gouges in the Beskar armor, but not penetrating. The crowd gasped. Beskar was supposed to be nearly indestructible. Kelvau didn't waste time being shocked. He pivoted, bringing an armored elbow around in a strike that caught Logan in the ribs. The impact would have shattered a normal man's torso. Logan felt ribs crack, his healing factor immediately responding, and used the momentum to roll with the blow, coming up inside Kelvau's guard. His claws found the gaps in the armor, under the arm, where the Beskar plates joined. Not deep enough to kill, but enough to draw blood. First blood. Logan's. Except the cut was already healing, muscle and flesh knitting back together in seconds. The crowd's murmur became a roar of confusion and awe. Kelvau stared at Logan's healing wound, then at his own scored armor. "What are you?" "Stubborn," Logan replied, and pressed the attack. What followed was 3 minutes of brutal, precise combat. Kelvau was a master warrior with decades of experience, but Logan had been fighting since before most of these Mandalorians were born. His adamantium claws carved through defenses, his healing factor absorbed punishment that would have ended the fight against any normal opponent, and his combat instincts, honed through a lifetime of violence, let him predict and counter moves before they fully developed. When the 3 minutes ended, both warriors stood in the ring, breathing hard. Kelvau's armor was scored with claw marks, his vibroblade chipped from striking adamantium, but he was unbowed. Logan had taken a dozen hits that had broken bones and torn muscle, but he stood whole, his healing factor having erased the damage as fast as it accumulated. Garrick stepped into the ring, his voice carrying authority. The outsider has proven himself. 3 minutes against Kelvau, and he still stands. More, he wounded our champion through Beskar armor with those claws of his. I call the trial complete. Kelvau lowered his weapon and removed his helmet, revealing a scarred face with burning eyes. He looked at Logan with something that might have been respect. "You are no ordinary warrior, outsider. Those claws, that healing, I've never seen anything like it." He extended his hand. "You fight with honor, even if you fight strangely. Welcome to Mandalore." Logan took the hand, the grip firm and acknowledging. "Logan, or Wolverine, if you're feeling dramatic." "Wolverine." Kelvau tested the word. "A name that suits you. Fierce, tenacious, difficult to kill." He turned to address the crowd. "I recognize this warrior's strength. Let any who doubt challenge him themselves." No one did. But as the crowd began to disperse, talking excitedly about what they'd witnessed, Logan's enhanced senses caught something else. A presence, watching from beyond the gathering. Not hostile, but intensely curious. Not physical exactly, but something else. It made the hair on the back of his neck stand up in a way that had nothing to do with danger and everything to do with wrongness. His instincts had kept him alive for over a century. And right now, they were screaming that he'd just caught the attention of something far more complicated than Mandalorian warriors. Somewhere in the crowd, someone whispered a word that Logan's enhanced hearing caught clearly. Force sensitive. He didn't know what that meant, but he had a feeling he was about to find out. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The celebration that followed Logan's trial lasted well into the night. Mandalorian warriors drank, sparred, and shared stories of battles past, while fires burned in ceremonial braziers throughout the clan hold. Logan had been offered armor, a full suit of Beskar that Clan Kell kept for honored guests, but he'd declined. Armor slowed him down, and his healing factor was better protection than any metal. Still, he accepted their hospitality. Food that was heavy and spiced, drink that burned going down, but didn't affect him for long, thanks to his enhanced metabolism and the respect of warriors who understood what it meant to fight well. Garrick found him on the fortress walls as the twin moons rose over Mandalore's horizon, casting silver light across the valley below. "You made quite an impression today," Garrick said, removing his helmet. Underneath was a weathered face, with a scar running from temple to jaw, a face that had seen decades of combat. "Kelvau hasn't been marked like that in 15 years. The clans are talking. Some want to recruit you. Others think you're too dangerous to trust." Logan leaned against the wall, his enhanced senses tracking the warriors below, the distant sounds of the celebration, and that strange presence he'd felt earlier. It was still there, watching from somewhere beyond his ability to pinpoint. "And what do you think?" "I think you're exactly what you appear to be. A warrior far from home, trying to make sense of a galaxy that doesn't make sense." Garrick pulled a flask from his belt and offered it. "But there's something else about you. Something the others didn't notice because they're not trained to feel it." "Feel what?" "The Force." Logan took the flask, drank, and waited for an explanation that made sense. The alcohol was strong enough that even his healing factor took a moment to process it. "You mentioned that word before. Force sensitive. What does that mean?" Garrick settled against the wall beside him, his expression thoughtful. "The Force is an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, penetrates us, binds the galaxy together. Most people can't feel it at all. Some, the Jedi, the Sith in the old days, can touch it, use it, bend it to their will. It gives them abilities most would consider impossible. Precognition, telekinesis, enhanced reflexes and awareness." Logan thought about the fights he'd been in, the times his instincts had saved him when logic said he should be dead. The way he sometimes knew where an enemy would strike before they moved. He'd always attributed it to enhanced senses and combat experience. "And you think I've got this Force thing?" "I know you do. When you fought Kelvau, there were moments where you moved before he did, not reacting, predicting. Your strikes found weak points in his armor that you shouldn't have been able to see. And there's an energy around you, subtle but there, raw and untrained, but definitely present." Garrick's eyes narrowed. "The Jedi have protocols for finding Force-sensitive children. They take them young, train them in their temples, teach them to use their abilities for peace and knowledge. I'm not a kid, and I don't do well with authority." Garrick smiled. "Which is why I'm telling you this privately before they arrive." Logan's claws extended halfway, instinct responding to threat. "Before who arrives?" "The Jedi. They maintain a small presence on Mandalore. Diplomatic relations, cultural exchange, that sort of thing. But they also monitor for Force disturbances. Your arrival wasn't subtle, Logan. You tore through reality itself and crashed onto our world. That kind of event sends ripples through the Force that even I can feel, and I have no sensitivity at all. The Jedi will have felt it like a thunderclap." Logan retracted his claws, processing. Another group with authority, protocols, and the belief that they knew what was best for everyone. He'd dealt with enough of those to last several lifetimes. Let me guess. They'll want to study me, train me, figure out how I tick. Probably. The Jedi are well-meaning, but they have very specific ideas about how Force sensitivity should be handled. They'll see you as someone who needs guidance, structure, teaching. Garrick's tone suggested he didn't entirely agree. Mandalorians have a different philosophy. We believe a warrior forges their own path. If you have this power, it's yours to master or ignore as you see fit. You're offering me something. Sanctuary, training in our ways, if you want it. A chance to understand this galaxy on your terms, not theirs. Garrick met his eyes. Clan Kell doesn't take outsiders lightly, but you've proven yourself in combat, and you've shown honor. If you swear to the creed, to protect your clan, to contribute to our community, to wear the armor if you earn it, we'll stand between you and anyone who tries to claim you. Logan considered. He'd been part of teams before. The X-Men, various military units, even the Avengers for a brief period. It always ended the same way. Him walking away because he couldn't fit into someone else's vision of what he should be. But the Mandalorians weren't asking him to be a hero or follow a moral code that valued other people's lives over practical survival. They were offering something simpler. Strength in exchange for loyalty. Freedom in exchange for contribution. "What's the creed?" Logan asked. "This is the way," Garrick quoted. "We protect our own. We raise warriors. We forge our identity in Beskar and blood. Everything else is negotiable." Logan had lived by simpler codes and more complicated ones. This one had the virtue of honesty. "I'll think about it," he said. "But first, I want to know more about this Force thing. If I've got it, I need to understand it. And I'd rather hear about it from warriors than from monks who think they know better than I do about my own abilities." Garrick nodded. "Fair enough. Tomorrow I'll introduce you to someone who can help. For tonight." He stopped mid-sentence, his hand moving to his helmet. Logan's enhanced hearing caught the subvocal comm traffic immediately. Urgent, clipped military terminology. "We have incoming," Garrick said, his tone shifting from friendly to tactical in a heartbeat. 3 ships, high-altitude approach, not broadcasting clan codes. Logan's senses reached out, catching the distant whine of engines that didn't sound like the Mandalorian craft he'd seen earlier. The Jedi? Faster than I expected. Garrick replaced his helmet, the T-visor hiding his expression again. They must have sent someone already stationed in system. Stay close, Logan. This could get complicated. The ships landed in the valley outside the clan hold, with precise, controlled descents that spoke of master pilots. They were sleek craft, curved and elegant, in a way that contrasted sharply with the angular, aggressive design of Mandalorian vessels. As the boarding ramps lowered, figures emerged in flowing robes that seemed impractical for anything involving real combat. Logan counted 5 of them, moving with a grace that set his instincts on edge. These weren't warriors in the Mandalorian sense, but they weren't helpless either. The way they walked suggested complete awareness of their surroundings and the cylindrical weapons hanging from their belts. Lightsabers, his new tactical knowledge supplied, were infamous across the galaxy. The lead figure was human, middle-aged, with graying hair and eyes that held the kind of serenity Logan associated with people who'd never really been tested. Behind him came 2 younger humans, a man and a woman, probably in their 20s, and 2 aliens Logan didn't recognize. One was tall and blue-skinned, with head tails that twitched like they were tasting the air. The other was shorter, with golden eyes and fur covering visible skin. Garrick stepped forward to meet them, Logan at his side. Several dozen Mandalorian warriors had assembled in a loose perimeter, weapons not drawn, but hands resting on holsters. The tension was thick enough to cut with an adamantium claw. "Master Jedi." Garrick greeted them, his tone neutral. "This is unexpected. We weren't aware the Order had business with Clan Kell." The older Jedi inclined his head respectfully. "Garrick Kell, forgive our intrusion. I am Master Yaddle Tem, of the Jedi Council's High Republic Outreach Initiative. We mean no disrespect to Mandalorian sovereignty, but we detected a significant disturbance in the Force originating from this location. We hoped you might help us investigate." Logan watched Yaddle's eyes track across the assembled warriors before settling on him. There was no surprise in that gaze. They'd known exactly where to look. "The disturbance you felt was me," Logan said, stepping forward. "No point in playing games. Crash landed yesterday. Dimensional transit accident, near as I can figure." Yaddle's expression remained calm, but Logan's enhanced senses caught the spike in heart rate from the younger Jedi, the subtle shift in stance that suggested preparation for violence. The blue-skinned aliens' head tails twitched more actively. "Fascinating," Yaddle said. "Dimensional travel is purely theoretical, even in our most advanced research. Yet you stand before us, clearly from another reality entirely." He paused. "And you carry the Force within you, untrained and powerful. May I ask your name?" "Logan. Some call me Wolverine." "Logan." Yaddle tested the name. "I sense great pain in your past, great loss, but also great strength and resilience. The Force flows through you in ways I've rarely encountered. Raw, instinctive, tied to your very survival." His eyes moved to Logan's hands, and Logan knew the Jedi could sense the adamantium beneath his skin. "You are unique in this galaxy, perhaps unique across all realities." "Yeah, I'm special. Heard it before." Logan's tone was flat. "What do you want?" "To help you understand what you are. To offer training in controlling your connection to the Force before it controls you." Yaddle's voice carried genuine concern. Untrained Force sensitivity can be dangerous, both to the bearer and to those around them. Your abilities, combined with your other traits, make you particularly volatile. Logan felt his jaw tighten. This was the same song he'd heard from Charles Xavier, from S.H.I.E.L.D., from every organization that decided he needed to be managed rather than trusted. "I've been managing my volatile traits for over 100 years. Haven't destroyed any planets yet." The younger male Jedi, barely out of his teens, spoke up. "Master, his Force presence is unlike anything in our archives. It's almost feral, like an animal's awareness rather than sentient connection." Logan's claws extended an inch, the adamantium gleaming in the moonlight. "Got something to say to me, kid? Say it directly." "Padawan. Torin," Yaddle said quietly, a note of warning in his voice. "Remember your training." But the damage was done. Logan's enhanced hearing caught the ripple of offense through the Mandalorian ranks. The unspoken insult of calling a warrior feral. The disrespect implicit in a Jedi judging someone they'd just met. Garrick's hand moved to his blaster. "Master Yaddle," Garrick said, his voice cold. "Logan has been granted sanctuary by Clan Kell. He has proven himself in honorable combat and shown respect for our ways. If the Jedi Order wishes to make an offer of training, they may do so, but he is under no obligation to accept, and Mandalore's sovereignty means you have no authority to compel him." Yaddle's expression never changed, but Logan saw the calculation happening behind those serene eyes. The Jedi were powerful, but they were outnumbered here, and the Mandalorians had a well-earned reputation for being willing to fight even against Force users if their honor was challenged. "Of course," Yaddle said smoothly. "We would never presume to violate Mandalorian sovereignty, We merely offer our knowledge freely, as we do for all Force sensitives who require guidance. I'll think about it, Logan said, the same response he'd given Garrick. Right now, I'm still figuring out where the hell I am and how to get home. Your Force thing is interesting, but I've got bigger problems. The blue-skinned Jedi, a woman, Logan realized, stepped forward. Forgive me, but I must speak plainly. If you truly arrived via dimensional breach, the energies involved would be catastrophic. The tear in space-time alone could have destabilized this entire system. The fact that you survived suggests your connection to the Force protected you, whether you realize it or not. Logan's enhanced senses had been tracking her since she arrived, and now he focused completely. Unlike the others, her Force presence, if that's what he was feeling, wasn't judgmental or cautious. It was purely curious, almost scientific. You're saying the Force kept me alive? I'm saying that consciousness itself, living energy, interacts with dimensional barriers in ways we barely understand. Your healing ability, operating at a cellular level, might have synchronized with the Force during transit. Your midi-chlorians regenerating as fast as your cells, creating a feedback loop that anchored your existence even as reality tried to erase you. She paused. I'm Jedi researcher Ciara Vol. I study Force phenomena that don't fit traditional understanding. You, Logan, are the most fascinating anomaly I've encountered in a decade. Great, Logan muttered. I'm fascinating. But something she'd said triggered a memory. Feedback loop, cellular regeneration. His healing factor had always worked at speeds that violated conventional biology. If this Force thing existed at a cellular level, these midi-chlorians they kept mentioning, then maybe his healing factor was interacting with them, constantly, creating something that neither universe had seen before. A mutant with a healing factor that regenerated Force-sensitive cells faster than any being in this galaxy could naturally achieve. No wonder they could feel him from orbit. Yaddle seemed to sense Logan's consideration. If you would permit us to conduct some basic tests, non-invasive, purely diagnostic, we might be able to help you understand your situation better. Knowledge is the first step to control. Logan looked at Garrick, who gave a subtle nod. The Mandalorian's message was clear. Your choice, but we'll support either decision. Fine, Logan said, but we do it here, on Mandalorian ground, with witnesses. And the first time I don't like where this is going, I walk. We clear? Perfectly clear. Yaddle agreed. The testing took place in a secured chamber within Clan Kell's hold, with Garrick and 2 other Mandalorian warriors present as observers. The Jedi had brought portable equipment from there, ships, devices that hummed with energy and projected holographic readouts that meant nothing to Logan, but clearly fascinated the researchers. Ciara Vol directed most of the process, her scientific curiosity overriding any Jedi serenity. She'd asked Logan to meditate. He'd refused, then asked him to focus on specific objects. He'd tried and failed, and finally asked him to simply react to threats. That he could do. They'd set up a training sequence using small floating orbs that fired stun bolts at randomized intervals. Logan stood in the center, eyes closed at Ciara's request, relying on his enhanced senses and whatever this Force thing was. The first bolt came from his left. Logan moved before the orb fired, sidestepping the shot with ease. Second bolt, from above. He ducked, the energy crackling through the space where his head had been. Third, fourth, and fifth bolts came simultaneously, from different vectors. Logan's body moved in ways that shouldn't have been possible, twisting, ducking, and rolling through a pattern that avoided all 5 shots by fractions of an inch. Impossible, Padawan Torin breathed. He's predicting them with millisecond precision. Not predicting, Ciara corrected, her eyes glued to the holographic readouts. He's feeling them through the Force. But look at the pattern. It's not conscious precognition. It's pure instinct, integrated with his enhanced senses at such a deep level that he doesn't even realize he's using the Force. Yaddle studied the readings with grave intensity. His midi-chlorian count is extraordinary, higher than most Jedi Masters, but the distribution is unlike anything I've seen. They're not concentrated in his neural tissue as with typical Force sensitives. They're everywhere, in every cell, regenerating continuously with his healing factor. He's a walking Force nexus, Ciara said, her voice filled with awe. His entire body is suffused with the Force at a cellular level. He doesn't channel it like we do. He is it. Logan opened his eyes, the training sequence ending. You done poking at me? Almost. Ciara approached him, her curiosity overcoming Jedi caution. Logan, has anyone ever tried to read your mind? Telepathically, I mean. The question brought back memories of Charles Xavier, the world's most powerful telepath, struggling to maintain a presence in Logan's consciousness. His healing factor treated mental intrusions like infections, constantly pushing them out. Yeah, doesn't work well. My healing factor fights it off. May I try? Just a surface scan, nothing invasive. Logan's instincts said this was a bad idea, but he needed to understand what he was dealing with. Go ahead. Ciara closed her eyes, her hand extended toward him. Logan felt something, a presence, trying to touch his mind, not aggressive, just curious. And immediately, his healing factor responded, flooding his consciousness with defensive energy that pushed the intrusion out. Ciara gasped and stumbled backward, caught by Yaddle. By the Force. I couldn't even establish contact. His mind is shielded by his biology itself. And the feedback, it was like touching a star. Pure life energy, burning so bright it's almost painful. Yaddle helped her to a seat, his expression troubled. This changes everything. Logan, you're not just Force sensitive. You're something unprecedented. A being whose connection to the Force is so fundamental that it can't be separated from your physical existence. We can't train you in traditional methods because you don't use the Force consciously. You simply exist within it. So what does that mean? Logan asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. It means you're beyond our ability to train or control, Yaddle said quietly. It means that in time, if you choose to develop your abilities, you could become one of the most powerful Force users in the galaxy. And it means... He paused, clearly struggling with something. It means we must make a choice the Jedi Order rarely faces. Do we insist you come to Coruscant for evaluation, risking conflict with Mandalore and violating your autonomy? Or do we trust that someone with your power and your moral complexity can be left to find their own path? The younger Jedi looked shocked. Padawan Torin especially seemed ready to protest, but Yaddle raised a hand. The High Republic is built on principles of cooperation and freedom, Yaddle continued. We cannot, in good conscience, force someone to submit to our training, especially someone who has already demonstrated restraint and honor in their conduct. His eyes met Logan's. I will report to the Council that we have encountered a unique Force phenomenon that requires observation, but not intervention. You are free, Logan, to choose your own path. Logan felt something relax in his chest, tension he hadn't even realized he'd been carrying. Appreciate the honesty. But, Yaddle added, I would ask one thing. If you feel your abilities spiraling beyond your control, or if you need guidance in understanding the Force, contact us. We will help, no strings attached. That is my personal promise to you. I'll keep it in mind." The Jedi prepared to leave, gathering their equipment and preparing for departure. But Ciara Vol approached Logan one more time, pressing a small data chip into his hand. "My personal research on unconventional force phenomena," she said quietly. "Techniques that don't require traditional training. Meditation methods for those whose connection is instinctive rather than learned. And my contact information, if you ever want to discuss what you're experiencing without the Council's oversight." Logan pocketed the chip. "You're not what I expected from a Jedi. I'm a scientist first, Jedi second," she admitted with a slight smile. "And you, Logan, are the discovery of a lifetime. I hope we meet again, under better circumstances." As the Jedi ships lifted off into Mandalore's night sky, Garrick removed his helmet and looked at Logan with something approaching respect. "You handled that well. Most would have either submitted or fought. You did neither." "Had practice standing my ground," Logan said. "What happens now?" "Now," Garrick said, "we train you in the Mandalorian way. If you have this force power, we'll teach you to use it alongside your other abilities. Not their way, our way. You'll learn to fight, to think, to survive as a Mandalorian warrior. And then..." He paused, looking up at the stars. "Then we'll see what kind of legend you become." Logan followed his gaze to the twin moons, thinking about dimensional rifts, healing factors, and force powers he didn't fully understand. Somewhere out there was his universe, his reality, the world he'd left behind. But for now, he was here, on a world of warriors who respected strength and honored loyalty. He'd been in worse situations. "All right," Logan said. "Teach me." And in the darkness, beyond Mandalore's atmosphere, something ancient stirred. The Nihil, raiders who thrived in chaos and feared nothing, had heard rumors of a warrior who could not die, whose claws cut through Beskar, whose presence in the Force was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. They would come for him. They always did. And when they arrived, Logan would show them exactly why some warriors are legends. 3 months on Mandalore had changed Logan in ways he hadn't anticipated. Not softened him. Nothing would ever do that. But focused him. The Mandalorians didn't waste time on philosophy or moral lectures. They taught practical skills, advanced combat techniques, starship piloting, weapons maintenance, tactical planning, and the art of turning any environment into a battlefield. Logan absorbed it all with the efficiency of someone who'd been a soldier, in one form or another, for over a century. But it was the Force training, conducted not by Jedi, but by Garrick and a Mandalorian, named Tere Ordo, who claimed descent from the only Mandalorian ever accepted into the Jedi Order. That proved most challenging. They didn't teach him to meditate or find inner peace. Instead, they pushed him into combat scenarios, where his instincts were his only guide, teaching him to trust the Force the same way he trusted his healing factor, as a tool for survival, not enlightenment. His claws had been integrated into custom gauntlets that Clan Kel's armorer had forged specifically for him. Not armor exactly. Logan still refused to wear a full suit, but reinforced bracers made from Beskar that protected his forearms while allowing his adamantium claws to extend freely. The Beskar had been etched with Clan Kel's sigil, marking him as one of their own, even without the full armor. He stood now in the training yard, facing 3 Mandalorian warriors simultaneously. This was his final test, before Garrick would formally accept him into the clan. Around the yard's perimeter, dozens of warriors watched, some placing bets on how long Logan would last. They were about to lose their credits. The first warrior came at him with an electrostaff, the weapon crackling with energy designed to disrupt nervous systems. Logan's force-enhanced senses tracked the attack's trajectory. and he moved before the strike fully developed. Inside the warrior's guard, claws extending to hook the staff and wrench it aside. His other hand came up in a palm strike that sent the warrior stumbling backward, armor clanking. The second and third warriors attacked simultaneously from opposite sides, coordinated and professional. Logan dropped low, spinning in a move that no human without his healing factor should attempt. His claws carving arcs through the air that forced both warriors to abort their attacks or lose limbs. Even dulled for training, his adamantium could shatter conventional weapons. He came up behind the second warrior, claws at the vulnerable neck seal of their armor. "Dead," he said simply. The warrior nodded and stepped back, eliminated from the exercise. The third warrior, more cautious now, circled Logan with a vibroblade drawn. This one was Kel Vao, the champion Logan had fought on his first day. They'd sparred dozens of times since then, developing a mutual respect built on shared violence. "You've learned well, Wolverine," Kel Vao said, his voice filtered through his helmet. "But let's see if you've learned everything." He activated something on his gauntlet, and suddenly 3 more Mandalorians dropped from the fortress walls above, jetpacks slowing their descent, weapons drawn. The test had just escalated from 3-on-1 to 6-on-1. Logan grinned, feral and eager. "Now we're talking." What followed was organized chaos. Logan moved through the attackers like a force of nature, his enhanced reflexes and force awareness combining into something that transcended normal combat. He didn't think. He reacted, his body flowing from strike to counter, to evasion in patterns that seemed choreographed, but were pure instinct. His claws found weak points in armor. His strength sent warriors stumbling, and his healing factor absorbed the hits that did land without slowing him down. But the Mandalorians were no slouches. They adapted, using coordinated fire from blasters set to stun, forcing Logan to dodge and weave rather than press forward. One caught him with a grappling line that wrapped around his leg. He cut through it with his claws, but the momentary distraction let another warrior land a solid hit with a stun baton that would have incapacitated a normal opponent. Logan felt his muscles seize, electricity coursing through his nervous system. His healing factor roared to life, purging the electrical disruption faster than it could take hold. He came up snarling, claws extended, and for just a moment the watching Mandalorians saw something in his eyes that transcended human, something primal and unstoppable. The force surged through him unbidden, not consciously directed, but responding to his need. Time seemed to slow. He felt every warrior's position, their intentions, their next moves before they made them. His body moved with impossible precision, each strike perfectly placed, each dodge anticipating attacks that hadn't yet begun. When the exercise ended, called by Garrick before anyone actually got hurt, Logan stood in the center of the yard, breathing hard but undefeated. All 6 warriors were either disarmed, eliminated by rules of engagement, or nursing injuries that would have been fatal in real combat. The watching crowd erupted in approval, helmets clanging together in the Mandalorian equivalent of applause. Garrick entered the yard, his expression unreadable behind his helmet, and removed it to face Logan directly. 3 months ago, you crashed onto our world, an outsider, unknown, untested. Today, you stand as proof that warriors are forged in challenge, not born into privilege. He drew a vibroblade from his belt, the ceremonial weapon gleaming in Mandalore's twin suns. "Kneel, Logan of Earth." Logan hesitated only a moment before dropping to one knee, his instincts screaming against submission, but his understanding of ritual overriding them. This meant something to these people. It meant something to him too, if he was honest. Garrick placed the blade on Logan's shoulder, the gesture formal and ancient. You have proven your strength in combat. You have shown honor in victory and restraint in power. You have protected those of Clan Kell and contributed to our prosperity. The blade moved to Logan's other shoulder. By the creed and by my authority as clan leader, I name you Mandalorian. You are one of us now, Logan Wolverine. This is the way. This is the way. The assembled warriors repeated, voices unified. Logan stood, and Garrick extended his hand. The grip was firm, acknowledging. Welcome home, brother. The word hit harder than Logan expected. Home. He'd had homes before. The X-Mansion, various apartments and cabins scattered across his earth. But those had always been temporary. Places he stayed between the next fight or the next mission. This felt different, more solid. Maybe because the Mandalorians didn't pretend he was something he wasn't. They accepted him as a weapon, a warrior, a survivor. No moral judgments, no expectations of heroism, just strength and loyalty, earned and given freely. The celebration was beginning when Clan Kell's sensor operator came running from the communications tower, his armor bearing the marks of a scout rather than a frontline fighter. Garrick, the scout called out, urgency cutting through the festivities. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace, high orbit. They're broadcasting Nihil signature codes. The celebration died instantly. Every warrior's hand moved to their weapons, helmets snapping into place, professional readiness replacing revelry in heartbeats. How many? Garrick demanded. 15 capital ships, dozens of fighters. They're moving into attack formation above the northern settlements. The scout's voice was tight with concern. They're demanding we surrender all Beskar reserves and submit to their authority, or they'll bombard from orbit. Logan's enhanced hearing caught the ripple of fury through the Mandalorian ranks. These were warriors, not politicians. The idea of surrender wasn't just offensive, it was incomprehensible. The Nihil, Kell Vau spat, his voice venomous. Raiders and murderers who hide behind their path technology and prey on the weak. They've avoided Mandalore for years because they know we'd make them pay for every meter of ground they take. Why now? Logan asked, his tactical mind already working through the problem. Why risk a direct assault on a warrior culture when there are easier targets? Garrick's helmet turned toward him, and Logan knew the answer before he heard it. You, Garrick said quietly. Word spreads fast in this galaxy. A warrior who can't die, who carries the Force in every cell, who defeated 6 Mandalorians simultaneously. The Nihil thrive on chaos and impossible odds. You're exactly the kind of prize they'd risk everything to claim. Logan's claws extended, adamantium gleaming. Then they're about to learn why that's a bad idea. We need to evacuate the northern settlements, Kell Vau said, already coordinating with other warriors. Get the civilians to the deep shelters. Rally our defense forces. No time. The scout interrupted. They're already launching ground forces. Drop ships, hundreds of them. They'll be landing in 20 minutes. Garrick was silent for 3 seconds, processing tactical realities that Logan could see forming behind his eyes. We can't evacuate everyone in time. We need to meet them in the field, draw their forces away from civilian centers long enough for the evacuation to complete. That's a suicide mission, one of the other clan leaders said, having joined the rapid planning session. The Nihil don't fight with honor. They'll throw bodies at us until we're overwhelmed, then bomb the settlements anyway. Not if we cut off the head, Logan said, his voice cutting through the debate. Their command ship. That's where their leadership will be, coordinating the assault. Take that out, and the rest will scatter or make mistakes. That's how raiders work. They're only effective when they're winning. Every helmet turned toward him. You're suggesting we board a Nihil capital ship, Garrick said slowly, while their ground forces are assaulting our planet. I'm suggesting I board their capital ship, Logan corrected. With a small team, fast insertion, maximum chaos. You've got stealth ships, right? Something that can get through their fighter screen? We do, Kelvau confirmed. But even our best warriors would be hard-pressed to fight through an entire ship's worth of Nihil raiders. Logan's grin was savage. Good thing I heal fast. Garrick studied him for a long moment, then nodded. It's insane, reckless, against every principle of sound military strategy. He paused, which is exactly why it might work. The Nihil won't expect a counter-assault. They think we'll defend, not attack. I'm going with him, Kelvau said immediately. If Wolverine is representing Clan Kel, he needs warriors at his back. As am I, said another voice. Terra Ordo, the Force-trained Mandalorian who'd been teaching Logan. If this mission requires both combat prowess and force awareness, I can provide support. 3 more warriors volunteered before Garrick raised his hand. 6 total, including Logan. That's the maximum our stealth ship can carry, while maintaining combat effectiveness. Kelvau, Tare Ordo, you're confirmed. Choose 2 more from your units. The selection took seconds. Mandalorians didn't waste time on decisions when battle was imminent. Within 5 minutes, Logan found himself in the armory, being equipped with Mandalorian gear that actually fit his fighting style. A tactical harness with magnetic sheaths for weapons, a comm unit integrated into a minimal helmet that left his enhanced senses unimpaired, and several thermal detonators that the armorer assured him would make a satisfying explosion. The stealth ship, a sleek angular craft called a Commerk-class fighter, was prepped and ready in the E. Clanhold's hangar. Its pilot was a woman named Reeve Scal, who had the call sign Ghost and a reputation for flying through impossible situations. As the team boarded, Garrick gripped Logan's shoulder one final time. Bring my warriors back alive, brother, and make the Nihil regret ever hearing your name. That's the plan, Logan said. The Commerk launched into Mandalore's atmosphere, its stealth systems engaging as they climbed toward the Nihil fleet above. Through the viewport, Logan could see the first dropships entering atmosphere, fire trails marking their descent toward the northern settlements. Enemy capital ship designated Storm's Eye, Reeve reported from the pilot's seat, her voice clinical despite the insanity of their mission. She's a modified heavy cruiser, bristling with weapons and fighter bays. Their commander will be on the bridge, coordinating the assault. How do we get aboard without them turning us into particles? Logan asked. We don't go to the obvious entry points, Reeve said, adjusting their approach vector. We go underneath, where their sensor coverage has blind spots, and we attach directly to the hull. Then you cut your way inside. Logan extended his claws. I can do that. The approach was harrowing. Nihil fighters screamed past them, never quite detecting the Commerk's stealth profile, but coming close enough that Logan's enhanced senses tracked every near miss. The Storm's Eye grew larger in the viewport, a massive vessel bristling with weapons, its hull painted in chaotic patterns that seemed designed to offend the eye. Reeve brought them in beneath the cruiser's main body, magnetic clamps engaging with a solid thunk that reverberated through the hull. We're attached. They haven't noticed us yet, but the moment you breach, they'll know we're here. Then let's make it count, Logan said, moving to the airlock. Kelvau activated his helmet's external speakers. Team, Standard breach protocol. Wolverine makes the initial entry. We follow through and establish a perimeter. Our objective is the bridge, approximately 12 decks above our entry point. We fight our way up, fast and violent. No prisoners, no mercy. The Nihil would offer us neither. Logan felt the Commerk's airlock equalize, and then the exterior hatch opened to reveal the Storm's Eye's hull, mere inches away. The ship's metal was pitted and scarred from countless battles, a testament to the Nihil's brutal approach to warfare. He pressed his claws against the hull and began cutting. The adamantium sliced through durasteel like it was paper, his enhanced strength driving the blades deep. Sparks flew, and Logan's healing factor immediately compensated for the vacuum exposure, his body adapting to the hostile environment in ways that would have killed anyone else within seconds. Within 30 seconds, he'd carved a circular opening, large enough for the team. He kicked the cut section inward, and it clanged into an empty maintenance corridor beyond. Emergency alarms immediately began wailing. They'd been detected. "Go, go, go!" Kelvau shouted, and the Mandalorians poured through the breach, weapons drawn. The corridor was narrow and poorly lit, exactly what Logan expected from a raider ship that prioritized function over comfort. His enhanced senses immediately cataloged the environment. Stale recycled air, the ozone smell of poorly maintained life support, and the distinct scent of dozens of beings heading their direction. "Contact, forward!" Tare Ordo called, raising his blaster rifle. The Nihil came around the corner in a disorganized rush. Humanoids of various species, all wearing the mismatched armor and carrying the improvised weapons characteristic of raiders. They saw the Mandalorians and opened fire immediately, blaster bolts screaming down the corridor. Logan was already moving. His force-enhanced awareness let him track every bolt's trajectory, his body flowing through the incoming fire like water. His claws extended, and he hit the Nihil line like a battering ram, made of adamantium and fury. What followed was carnage. Logan's claws carved through armor, flesh, and bone with equal ease. His healing factor absorbed the few hits that landed, wounds closing almost as fast as they opened. Behind him, the Mandalorians provided covering fire and tactical support, their shots picking off raiders who tried to flank or regroup. But Logan was the spearhead, the unstoppable force that crashed through every defense the Nihil tried to mount. His berserker rage, normally something he kept carefully controlled, was given free rein here. These were raiders, murderers, people who preyed on the weak and defenseless. He didn't need to hold back. The force flowed through him, not as conscious technique, but as raw instinct. He felt enemies before he saw them, anticipated attacks before they fully formed, moved with precision that transcended normal human capability. Every strike was perfect, every dodge exactly what was needed. "Stairwell, 3 decks up," Tare shouted, consulting a stolen data pad. "That's our fastest route to the bridge." They fought their way through the ship, deck by deck, corridor by corridor. The Nihil threw everything at them. More raiders, automated defense turrets, even a few war droids that Logan tore apart with his claws, while the Mandalorians provided suppressing fire. By the time they reached the bridge level, Logan's tactical vest was shredded, his body covered in wounds that healed almost as fast as they appeared, and his claws were slick with blood and oil. The Mandalorians had taken hits too. Kelvau's armor showed scorch marks from near misses, and one of the other warriors was limping from a leg wound, but they were still combat effective. The bridge doors were massive, reinforced, designed to withstand boarding actions. Logan studied them for 3 seconds, then looked at Kelvau. Thermal detonators, shaped charge, right against the seal. That'll bring every remaining Nihil on the ship down on us, Kelvow pointed out. Yeah, Logan agreed. But we'll be on the bridge with their commander, and they won't risk killing their own leadership. Gives us leverage. It was insane tactical thinking, born from a lifetime of missions where Logan was the only one who could survive the worst outcomes. But the Mandalorians didn't argue. They respected audacity, especially when it came from someone who'd proven themselves in combat. The thermal detonators went into place, and the team took cover around a corner. The explosion was precisely calibrated, focused inward, turning the bridge doors into shrapnel that screamed into the command center beyond. Logan was through the breach before the smoke cleared. The Storm's Eyes bridge was chaos, officers scrambling for weapons, the command crew trying to restore systems, and at the center of it all, a figure in elaborate armor that marked them as the Nihil Tempest Runner, leading this assault. The Tempest Runner was a Wike, his leathery skin marked with ritual scars, his armor a patchwork of trophies from previous raids. He held a light whip, a weapon Logan had heard about but never faced, its energy blade crackling in multiple tendrils that could strike from unpredictable angles. So, the Tempest Runner said, his voice gravelly and amused despite the situation. The famous Wolverine comes to me directly. I was going to hunt you on Mandalore's surface. But this is even better. Killing you here will make my reputation legendary. You talk too much, Logan said, and attacked. The light whip came alive in the Tempest Runner's hands, multiple energy tendrils lashing out in a pattern designed to overwhelm any defense. Logan's force awareness screamed warnings, his body moving through the attacks with precision that bordered on precognition. His claws struck at the tendrils themselves, adamantium meeting energy in explosions of sparks. Behind him, the Mandalorians engaged the bridge crew, turning the command center into a battlefield. But Logan's focus was entirely on the Tempest Runner, on this warrior who thought he could claim Logan as a trophy. The light whip wrapped around Logan's arm, energy searing through flesh, down to adamantium bone. Logan felt his healing factor surge, fighting to repair the damage, even as the weapon continued to burn. Instead of pulling away, he yanked forward, closing the distance. The Tempest Runner's eyes widened as Logan came inside the light whip's effective range, claws driving toward his midsection. The Nihil leader twisted, armor deflecting the blow partially, but Logan's other hand came up in an uppercut that sent the Tempest Runner stumbling backward. "You can't die," the Tempest Runner gasped, seeing Logan's arm already healing from the light whip burn. "What are you?" "Persistent," Logan growled and pressed the attack. The fight was brutal and brief. The Tempest Runner was skilled, experienced, and wielding a weapon that could kill almost any opponent. But Logan had faced worse odds, and his combination of healing factor, adamantium claws, and force-enhanced reflexes made him an opponent the Nihil leader had no answer for. Logan's claws found the gaps in the armor, drove deep, and the Tempest Runner fell. The light whip clattered to the deck, its energy blade sputtering out. The bridge fell silent except for the sound of the Mandalorians securing the last of the crew. "This is Wolverine to all Nihil forces," Logan said, activating the ship's comm system. His voice would carry to every raider on the ship and in the assault below. "Your commander is dead. Your command ship is captured. You have 60 seconds to retreat to hyperspace, or every single one of you dies. Starting now." He didn't need to make the threat more explicit. The Nihil were raiders. They fought when victory was possible, and fled when it wasn't. With their leadership dead, and their command structure shattered, retreat was their only option. Through the bridge viewports, Logan watched the Nihil fighters and dropships break off their assault, scrambling back toward their capital ships. Within 2 minutes, the entire fleet was jumping to hyperspace, abandoning the assault on Mandalore. "Mission accomplished," Kelvau said, removing his helmet. His face was split in a grin. "That was the most insane tactical operation I've participated in, and I've been fighting for 30 years. Logan retracted his claws, feeling the last of his wounds heal over. "Just another Tuesday where I'm from." Tari Ordo approached, his force-sensitive awareness studying Logan with new understanding. "The way you moved during that fight, you weren't just using enhanced reflexes. You were touching the Force consciously, even if you don't fully realize it. In combat, your instincts and the Force are becoming one. Is that good or bad? Neither. It's simply what you are." Tare paused. "But, Logan, beings with that much power attract attention. The Nihil came for you. Others will too. You've made yourself a target simply by existing." Logan looked out at Mandalore below, at the settlements that had been threatened, at the world that had become his temporary home. "Then they can get in line. I've been a target my whole life. Hasn't killed me yet." Reeves' voice crackled over their comms. "Ground forces report the Nihil have completely retreated. Minimal casualties on our side, no civilian losses. Mandalore is secure." "Then let's go home," Garrick said, having listened to the entire exchange. "You've earned your rest, all of you. And Wolverine, you've earned something else. Recognition across Mandalore as a warrior, worthy of legend." As they extracted from the captured Nihil ship and began the return to Mandalore's surface, Logan felt something settle in his chest. Not peace exactly. He'd never have that. But purpose. He was still trapped in another universe, still cut off from everything he'd known. But here, in this galaxy of warriors and Force users and impossible technology, he'd found something he hadn't expected. He'd found a place where who he was, all of who he was not just accepted, but valued. The Comarch descended through Mandalore's atmosphere, carrying warriors who had struck fear into raiders and proven that some legends are earned in blood and Beskar. And across the galaxy, in corners where the Jedi's light didn't reach, and the Republic's authority meant nothing, beings who traded in information and violence began to whisper a new name. Wolverine, the Mandalorian who could not die. The legend was only beginning. The aftermath of the Nihil assault transformed Logan's status on Mandalore, from accepted warrior to living legend. Word spread through the clans with the speed of hyperspace travel. A single Mandalorian, backed by 5 warriors, had boarded an enemy capital ship during active combat, killed the Tempest Runner in single combat, and forced an entire raiding fleet to retreat. The story grew with each telling, as stories always did, but the core truth remained undeniable. Logan had proven himself in the most Mandalorian way possible, by defending those who couldn't defend themselves through overwhelming violence and tactical audacity. The months that followed settled into a rhythm Logan hadn't experienced in decades. He trained with Clan Kel's warriors, refining his Force abilities through combat rather than meditation. He participated in clan raids against pirate outposts and slavers operating in Mandalore's sector, earning a reputation that preceded him into every engagement. His healing factor and adamantium claws became legendary among both allies and enemies. The warrior whose wounds closed before your eyes, whose blades cut through anything, who fought with the precision of a Force user and the ferocity of a predator. But it was the quiet moments that surprised him most. Sitting with Garrick on the fortress walls, watching Mandalore's twin moons rise while discussing philosophy and warfare, sparring with Kel Vao in sessions that had evolved from testing to genuine friendship, teaching younger Mandalorian warriors his own combat techniques, watching them adapt his aggressive style to their own strengths. He'd built something here, not a temporary refuge, but an actual life. And that terrified him more than any enemy ever had, because everything Logan built eventually burned. 6 months after his arrival, on a morning when Mandalore's twin suns painted the sky in shades of amber and gold, Logan stood in Clan Kel's armory, facing the clan's master, armorer, an ancient Mandalorian named Braylor, who rarely spoke, but whose work was considered the finest on the planet. "You've refused the armor for half a year," Braylor said, his voice like gravel grinding against stone. "But you wear our sigil. You fight under our colors. You've earned the right to Beskar, Wolverine. The question is whether you'll accept it." Logan studied the pieces laid out before him. Not a full suit like traditional Mandalorian armor, but something custom designed for his fighting style. A cuirass that would protect his torso without restricting movement. Shoulder pauldrons reinforced for close combat. Armored boots and shin guards. Gauntlets that would integrate with his claws. Beskar plating that could slide aside when he extended them. All of it forged in burnt orange and silver, Clan Kel's colors, with his personal sigil etched into the chest plate. 3 claw marks tearing through a stylized representation of the Force, the design somehow capturing exactly what he'd become in this galaxy. "You made this for me," Logan said quietly, "before I agreed to wear it. I'm an armorer. I see warriors clearly." Braylor's weathered face showed the ghost of a smile. "You've been Mandalorian since the day you fought Kel Vao. The armor just makes it official." Logan reached out, his fingers tracing the Beskar plating. The metal was cool to the touch, impossibly light for its protective capability, and inscribed with Mandalorian script he'd learned to read over the past months. The words translated roughly to, "Eternal warrior, through death, life." "The creed says we are more than flesh and bone," Braylor continued. "We are what we forge ourselves to be, through choice and action. You chose to stand with us. You chose to protect the innocent. You chose to embody the warrior's path." He gestured to the armor. "This is simply the physical manifestation of choices already made." Logan had worn many uniforms over his long life. Military, fatigues, X-Men colors, tactical gear designed by S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, and a dozen other organizations. But this was different. This wasn't someone else's vision of what he should be. This was acknowledgement of what he was. "Help me put it on," Logan said. The process was ritual and practice combined. Each piece had to be fitted precisely, adjusted for his unique physiology and fighting style. The cuirass settled over his tactical vest, its weight distributed perfectly across his adamantium-reinforced frame. The pauldrons locked into place, with satisfying clicks. The gauntlets integrated seamlessly with his existing bracers, the Beskar plating, designed to retract smoothly when his claws extended. When Braylor finally stepped back, Logan stood fully armored for the first time. He moved through a combat sequence, punches, kicks, evasive rolls, testing the armor's flexibility. It moved with him like a second skin, the Beskar protecting without constraining. "How does it feel?" Braylor asked. Logan extended his claws, watching the Beskar plating slide aside perfectly, then retracted them. "Feels right. Then you are complete. Wolverine of Clan Kel." Braylor offered him a helmet, T-visored like traditional Mandalorian design, but with enhanced sensor packages to complement rather than replace his natural senses. "Walk the path with honor." Logan took the helmet, but didn't put it on immediately. "I need to tell you something. All of you." He paused, choosing his words carefully. I'm not from this galaxy. I was pulled here from another reality entirely. Eventually, I might find a way back, or I might be stuck here forever. Either way, I can't promise I'll always be here. No warrior can promise that, Braylor said simply. We live, we fight, we die. Some of us die permanently. Others, like you, carry on despite death's best efforts. But the creed doesn't require permanence. It requires commitment to the moment, to the clan, to the path we've chosen. For as long as you're here, you're Mandalorian. If the day comes when you return to your own reality, you'll still be Mandalorian. This is the way. This is the way, Logan repeated, and the words felt like an oath he actually meant. The summons came 3 days later, delivered by a Republic diplomatic courier who looked distinctly uncomfortable, being surrounded by armed Mandalorian warriors. The message was addressed to Logan specifically, sealed with the symbol of the Jedi Order. Logan read it in Garrick's office, with the clan leader watching carefully. Logan Wolverine of Clan Kel. The Jedi Council requests your presence on Coruscant to discuss matters of galactic importance. A force phenomenon has emerged in the deep core that resonates with your unique signature. We believe your perspective and abilities may be crucial to understanding and potentially resolving this situation. This is a request, not a summons. You are free to decline. However, the situation is urgent, and lives may depend on swift action. Master Yaddle Tem sends his personal regards and assures you that this meeting would be conducted with full respect for your autonomy and Mandalorian affiliation. Respectfully, Jedi Council, Coruscant Temple. Logan set the datapad down and looked at Garrick. They're being careful, polite, making sure I know I can refuse. Because last time they approached you with authority, you made it clear that wouldn't work, Garrick said, his tone approving. They've learned. The question is, do you trust them? I trust that they believe whatever this force phenomenon is represents a real threat, Logan said. Whether that threat actually requires me specifically, or whether they just want another chance to study the strange anomaly, that's harder to say. You're thinking of going? It wasn't a question. Garrick knew Logan well enough by now to read his body language. Yeah, Logan admitted. I've been here half a year, and I'm no closer to figuring out how to get home. If there's a force phenomenon that resonates with my signature, maybe it's connected to how I got here in the first place. Maybe understanding it helps me find a way back. Or maybe it's a trap designed to separate you from Mandalorian protection and bring you under Jedi authority. Logan's claws extended halfway, adamantium gleaming. They can try. Garrick actually laughed. Fair point. He stood, moving to the window that overlooked Clan Kel's training grounds. You've become important to us, Logan, not just as a warrior, but as a brother. If you go to Coruscant, you go with Mandalorian support. I'll assign Kel Vau and Terre Ordo as your escort. The Jedi Council can meet with you. While you're backed by warriors, they know we'll fight if you're threatened. That might escalate things. Good. The Jedi have operated as the galaxy's primary force authority for too long. They need to remember that power comes in many forms, and some of us don't bow to their philosophy. Garrick turned back to him. Besides, if this force phenomenon is as dangerous as they claim, having Mandalorians present might actually help. We specialize in killing things that shouldn't be possible to kill. Logan couldn't argue with that logic. When do we leave? Tomorrow. That gives you time to inform the others and prepare. Coruscant is the Republic's capital. Billions of beings, layers of city built on top of ancient foundations, politics and bureaucracy, as thick as armor plating, It's nothing like Mandalore. Garrick's expression was serious. Watch yourself there, Logan. The Jedi are honorable in their way, but they serve a republic that's grown comfortable with peace. They don't always understand the cost of maintaining that peace, or the warriors who pay it. Understood. The journey to Coruscant took 3 days through hyperspace. The Mandalorian transport ship carrying Logan, Kelval, Tare Ordo, and a pilot named Kavit, who'd seen combat in a dozen systems. Logan spent most of the journey in the ship's small training room, working through combat sequences and meditation techniques that Tare had been teaching him. Your force connection is growing stronger, Tara observed, watching Logan move through a series of strikes that seemed to flow without conscious thought. You're not fighting it anymore. You're letting it become part of your instincts. Still can't do any of that fancy Jedi stuff, Logan said, finishing the sequence. No telekinesis, no mind tricks, no force lightning. Because that's not what you are. Jedi use the force as a tool, channeling it through conscious technique and training. Sith dominate it through passion and will. You. Tari paused, searching for the right words. You exist within the Force at such a fundamental level that conscious technique is almost irrelevant. Your healing factor regenerates Force-sensitive cells constantly. Your instincts are enhanced by precognition you don't even realize you're experiencing. Every breath, every movement, every moment of your existence is suffused with the Force. So I'm what? A walking Force battery? You're a nexus point, a location where the Force is concentrated and powerful, except you're mobile, conscious, and capable of incredible violence. Tari's expression was troubled. The Jedi are right to be concerned about a Force phenomenon that resonates with you. If there's something out there that shares your nature, raw, instinctive, fundamentally integrated with the Force itself, it could be incredibly dangerous. Logan extended his claws, studying the adamantium in the dim training room light. Or it could be a way home. If a Force phenomenon can resonate with my signature, maybe it's because it's connected to the dimensional rift that brought me here. Maybe it's my way back to my own universe. Is that what you want? Kelval asked from the doorway, where he'd been listening. To go back? Logan retracted his claws slowly. I don't know anymore. 6 months ago, the answer would have been yes, immediately. Now. He trailed off, unable to articulate the conflict. I've built something here, found a place where I fit, but there are people in my universe, friends, teammates, people who depend on me. I can't just abandon them. You're torn between two homes, Kelval said, understanding in his voice. I've seen it before, with warriors who married outside their clan or found purpose beyond Mandalore. It's not weakness to feel divided. It's the burden of loyalty multiplied. How do they choose? They don't, usually. They find a way to honor both commitments, or circumstances make the choice for them. Kelval's helmet tilted. But Logan, if you do find a way home, and if you choose to take it, know that Clan Kel will always consider you one of ours. Distance doesn't change brotherhood, not for Mandalorians. The words hit harder than Logan expected. He nodded, not trusting himself to speak. The ship's intercom crackled. Dropping out of hyperspace in 2 minutes, Kavik announced. Coruscant dead ahead. Logan moved to the cockpit viewports, and what he saw made even his extensive experience with impossible things pause in appreciation. Coruscant was an entire planet covered in city, layers upon layers of construction, built over thousands of years, lights blazing from billions of windows, space traffic flowing in organized streams that looked like rivers of metal and light. At the planet's equator, Rising above even the tallest skyscrapers, stood the Jedi Temple. Its 5 spires reached toward space like fingers grasping at stars, and even from orbit, Logan's Force awareness could feel the concentration of power there. Thousands of Force users, all trained and disciplined, all focused on their vision of peace and justice. It should have been comforting. Instead, Logan's instincts prickled with warning. "Something's wrong," he said quietly. Tare moved beside him, his own Force senses reaching out. "I feel it too. Not hostile, but fractured. Like reality is thin here, stretched across something that shouldn't exist in normal space." "The Force phenomenon," Kelvau said. They weren't exaggerating about its power. The comm system chimed with an incoming transmission. "Mandalorian transport. This is Coruscant Space Traffic Control. You're cleared for approach to the Jedi Temple's landing platform. Please follow the designated flight path and maintain communications." "Acknowledged," Kavik responded, guiding the ship into the streams of traffic. As they descended through Coruscant's atmosphere, Logan's enhanced senses cataloged everything. The smell of billions of beings living in close proximity. The sound of repulsor lift engines and industrial machinery. The visual chaos of a city that had grown organically over millennia. It was overwhelming in ways that even his experience with Earth's major cities hadn't prepared him for. But underneath it all, that wrongness persisted. A sense that something was pressing against reality, trying to break through, and the only thing holding it back was the concentrated will of the Jedi Order. They landed on a platform high on the temple's exterior, where a delegation waited. Master Yaddle led them, flanked by Ciara Vol and several other Jedi Logan didn't recognize. Behind them, a full honor guard of temple guards, masked warriors in gold armor who served as the Jedi Order's elite protectors. "They're taking this seriously," Kelvau observed. "That's a reception for dignitaries or potential threats." "Probably both," Logan said, sealing his helmet. The T-visor activated, displaying tactical information and threat assessments that his enhanced senses confirmed independently. He stepped off the ship in full Mandalorian armor, Kelvau and Tare flanking him, and walked to meet the Jedi delegation. Yaddle bowed respectfully, a gesture Logan returned with a nod. "Logan Wolverine, thank you for coming. I know trust is difficult between our peoples, but the situation demands cooperation. Show me what I'm dealing with, and we'll see if cooperation makes sense," Logan said, his voice filtered through the helmet's modulator. Yaddle didn't seem offended by the blunt response. "Of course. Follow me." They were led into the temple itself, through corridors decorated with art and artifacts from across the galaxy, past training halls where young Jedi practiced with training lightsabers, through meditation chambers where older Jedi sat in perfect stillness. Logan's Force awareness felt like a discordant note in a symphony, present and powerful, but fundamentally different from the harmonious energy around him. Several Jedi they passed stopped and stared, their Force senses clearly detecting his unusual nature. Logan ignored them, focused on Yaddle and the mystery ahead. They descended deep into the temple, past the public areas, into sections that Logan's tactical mind recognized as secured zones. Finally, they reached a chamber sealed with multiple security layers, technological and Force-based. "What we're about to show you is classified at the highest level," Yaddle said, his serene demeanor cracking slightly to show genuine concern. "Only the Jedi Council and select researchers know the full extent of what's happening. We're trusting you with this information because we believe you may be the only being in the galaxy who can help us understand it." The security doors opened, revealing a circular chamber dominated by a holographic projection in the center. But it wasn't showing a star map or tactical data. It was showing a tear in space itself. A rift that pulsed with energy. Logan recognized immediately because he'd felt it before. Dimensional energy. The same force that had pulled him from his universe into this one. By the Force, Tare breathed. Is that what I think it is? A rupture in space-time, Ciara Vol confirmed, her scientific excitement warring with obvious fear. It appeared 6 days ago in the deep core, an unexplored region where hyperspace lanes are unstable and few ships venture. The rift is approximately 50 kilometers across and growing. It's emanating force energy that matches Logan's signature, raw, instinctive, suffused with life energy at a cellular level. Logan moved closer to the hologram, studying the rift with his enhanced senses and force awareness. The wrongness he'd felt since arriving at Coruscant was emanating from this thing, a wound in reality that was bleeding energy into the Star Wars galaxy. You think something's coming through, Logan said. Something like me. We think something is coming through, Yaddle corrected. Our force sensitives who've attempted to probe the rift report feeling presences, consciousnesses that share characteristics with your force signature. Wild, powerful, driven by survival instinct rather than philosophy. Logan felt ice settle in his gut as understanding clicked into place. You're saying there are more mutants coming through from my universe, that the dimensional barrier between our realities is breaking down. That's our hypothesis, Ciara confirmed. The energy signature matches your arrival almost perfectly, but multiplied dozens of times over. If we're correct, your presence here, a being who exists as a nexus point of force energy, might have created a beacon that's drawing other similar beings across the dimensional boundary. How many? Kelvow demanded. How many beings are we talking about? Ciara's expression was grim. Based on the energy readings, at least 50, possibly more. And unlike Logan, who arrived alone and had time to acclimate, they would all be coming through simultaneously, confused, potentially hostile, in a galaxy they don't understand. Logan's mind raced through tactical scenarios. 50 mutants, many with powers as dangerous or more dangerous than his own, dropped into the Star Wars galaxy without context or guidance. Some would be heroes, trying to do the right thing. Others would be villains, seeing a new galaxy as an opportunity for conquest or profit. Most would just be scared and confused, lashing out at anything they perceived as a threat. And the galaxy's response, the Republic, the Jedi, various governments and factions, would be to treat them as invaders, as threats to be contained or eliminated. It would be a war, fought by people who had no choice about being soldiers. You want me to help you stop them, Logan said, to seal the rift before they come through. We want you to help us understand what's happening and determine the best course of action, Yaddle corrected. If the rift can be sealed, yes, that would be preferable. But if it can't, if beings from your universe are already crossing over, then we need to prepare for first contact in a way that doesn't end in tragedy. Logan looked at his Mandalorian companions, reading their body language even through armor. Kelvow's posture was combat ready, prepared for whatever decision Logan made. Tare's force awareness was focused on the hologram, analyzing the rift with a researcher's eye. I need to see it in person, Logan said. Need to feel it with my own senses, not through a recording. If this rift is connected to how I got here, maybe I can understand it better than anyone in this galaxy. That was our hope, Yaddle agreed. We've prepared a ship capable of reaching the deep core. It will carry a joint expedition, Jedi researchers and warriors, Mandalorian support, and you at the center. If the rift can be sealed, we seal it. If beings are coming through, we establish contact and try to prevent conflict. And if they're already through and hostile? Kelvao asked. Then we fight, Logan said simply. But we fight smart. Most mutants aren't invulnerable like me. They can be reasoned with, negotiated with, or if necessary, put down without excessive force. I know how they think, how they fight. I can help minimize casualties on both sides. Yaddle studied him for a long moment. 6 months ago, you were an outsider who crashed onto Mandalore with no understanding of our galaxy. Now you stand here in Mandalorian armor, offering to bridge the gap between your universe and ours, to prevent a war that would cost countless lives. You've grown, Logan Wolverine. I've been given a reason to care, Logan replied. Mandalore's my home now, at least for as long as I'm stuck here. And if mutants from my universe are coming through scared and confused, they deserve better than to be treated as monsters. I was lucky. I landed among warriors who respected strength and gave me a chance. Not everyone will be that lucky. Then we have an accord, Yaddle said. The expedition launches in 3 days. Use that time to prepare, to coordinate with your Mandalorian companions, and to consider what you might face. If your fellow mutants are truly coming through, you may be forced to choose between your old world and your new one. Logan's claws extended slightly, then retracted. Been making hard choices my whole life. One more won't break me. But as they left the secured chamber and began planning for the expedition into the deep core, Logan couldn't shake the feeling that this choice would be different, because for the first time in over a century, he had something to lose that actually mattered. He had a clan, a brotherhood, a place where his nature, all of it, the violence and the healing and the animal instincts, was accepted and valued. And if sealing that rift meant cutting himself off from his original universe forever, meant accepting that he'd never see the X-Men or Earth again, could he make that choice? Worse. What if the choice wasn't his to make? What if the beings coming through included people he knew, people he'd fought beside or against, people whose presence would force him to pick a side in a conflict he'd never wanted? Logan stood on the Jedi Temple's observation deck that evening, looking out at Coruscant's endless cityscape, and felt more uncertain than he had in decades. He'd survived wars, experiments, loss that should have destroyed him. He'd endured because he was too stubborn to die and too practical to dwell on what couldn't be changed. But this was different. Kelvao found him there, removing his helmet to look out at the city with unaugmented eyes. You're worried about what we'll find? Yeah, Logan admitted. I'm worried we'll find people I know, friends, maybe even enemies, and I'll have to choose whether to help them or stop them, based on nothing but my best guess about what's right. Then you'll make the choice the way Mandalorians always do, Kelvao said. In the moment, based on honor and the protection of those who can't protect themselves. You can't know what you'll face until you face it. All you can do is walk into it, prepared to do what's necessary. That's not as comforting as you think it is. It's not meant to be comforting. It's meant to be true. Kelvao replaced his helmet. We leave for the deep core in 3 days. Until then, you train, you prepare, and you trust that whatever you've become in this galaxy, Mandalorian, Force wielder, warrior, brother, is enough to face what's coming. Logan nodded, extending his claws one more time before retracting them. The Beskar gauntlets slid smoothly, the armor that marked him as Mandalorian, working in perfect harmony with the adamantium that marked him as mutant. 2 identities, forged into one being. Maybe that was the answer. Maybe he didn't have to choose between universes or identities. Maybe he could be both, the Wolverine from Earth and the Mandalorian warrior of Clan Kel. Maybe the choice wasn't about picking one or the other, but about honoring both. 3 days later, the expedition ship launched from Coruscant, carrying Jedi and Mandalorians and one immortal warrior toward a rift in space-time that would determine the fate of 2 universes. Logan sat in the ship's armory, sharpening his claws with a whetstone he didn't actually need, preparing for a confrontation he couldn't predict. Behind him, Tare Ordo meditated, his force awareness reaching ahead toward the rift, trying to sense what awaited them. In the cockpit, Kel Vao coordinated with the Jedi pilots, ensuring that Mandalorian combat doctrine and Jedi philosophy could work together when crisis came. And ahead, in the deep core, where hyperspace grew unstable and reality itself was thin, the dimensional rift pulsed with energy. Beings from another universe pressed against the barrier, some curious, some desperate, some hungry for conquest. The collision of 2 realities was accelerating, and Logan Wolverine, Force-sensitive Mandalorian, immortal warrior, nexus point of impossible power, stood at the center of it all. Whatever came through that rift, whatever choice he had to make, he would face it the way he'd faced everything else in his long, violent life, with claws extended and the determination to survive, no matter the cost. The expedition jumped to hyperspace, and the stars stretched into lines of light as they raced toward destiny. The rift in the deep core awaited them, a wound between realities that Logan's presence in the Star Wars galaxy had inadvertently created. In the days ahead, he would face beings from his own universe, emerging into this strange new galaxy, would make choices that determined whether 2 realities could coexist or would collide in catastrophic war. He would stand between the Jedi's cautious philosophy and the Mandalorian's warrior pragmatism, between his old life as an X-Man and his new identity as Clan Kel's immortal brother. But that battle, that choice, that moment where everything changed, that was still ahead. For now, Logan Wolverine sat in meditation as the ship hurtled through hyperspace, feeling the force flow through every cell of his being, his adamantium claws ready, his Beskar armor gleaming, his healing factor a promise that whatever came next, he would endure. He was no longer just the Wolverine from Earth, the mutant weapon created by humans who feared what they couldn't control. He was Logan of Clan Kel, Mandalorian warrior, Force-sensitive Nexus, the eternal warrior whose legend was being forged in blood and Beskar across a galaxy far, far away. And his story, the collision of mutant and Mandalorian, of adamantium and the Force, of one man's journey from dimensional refugee to galactic legend, had only just begun. The deep core beckoned. The rift pulsed with possibility and danger, and Logan moved toward it with the certainty of someone who had finally found a path worth walking, no matter where it led. This is the way.